Next verse, we finished reading verse 90. Did we? Okay, I'll read verse 90 again. Therefore pay heed to the practices as you do to yourself. Pay heed to achievements as you do to the practices. Pay heed to wisdom as you do to achievement. Pay heed to the wise as you do to wisdom. So that means undertake these 4 practices. Pay heed to Dharma just as you pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to the practices just as you pay attention to the Dharma. And just as you pay attention to the development of wisdom, just as you do the practices. And in order to get all this, pay attention to the learned ones, just as you are paying attention to wisdom. So in order to get the preceding ones, you need to pay attention to the subsequent ones. That is what he's saying. So in other words, he's saying that you should cherish these teachings just like you cherish yourself. And in order to get the benefit of Dharma, you need to properly practice it. And in order to properly practice it, you need to have the wisdom how to practice it. Otherwise, you might make a lot of effort, but nothing will come. Right? There are people who really make a lot of effort, but because they don't know the essence, then they don't make much progress. They undergo a lot of physical hardship, will not lead anywhere. Because Buddhist practice practice of the mind, transformation of the mind, not just physical hardship. And that's why Buddha avoided the 2 extremes. Extreme of self-mortification or asceticism, or extreme of luxury. So in our daily life also we should not lead a life of luxury. And by leading a life of luxury, you may just end up pampering yourself, spoiling yourself, and on the day when the real difficulty problem comes, you don't know how to handle it. Just like the celestial beings, Similarly, I imagine some of the very rich people, or actors and actresses, who have money and they lead a very lavish life, never think about becoming sick or death, and then suddenly when they experience this, they get tremendous amount of suffering. I heard this story of one Chinese lady who really wanted to build a palace, really like an unthinkable palace, and she did manage to construct a very, very beautiful mansion. And just before she moved there, she died. And before she died, she was sick. And it was clear that she's dying. The shock that she had. Right? So under such a situation, if you have the right frame of the mind, then no problem. There's another story of a person who constructed a similar nice palace. And everybody, his friends, everybody was, visiting that place saying, wow, what a house. The color, the shape, the ventilation, whatever, so fabulous. So just before the family moved, the house got fired and everything got destroyed. And then the friends went to console him and his family, saying that, I know you really lost great. And that person said, no, nothing has lost. The family is intact. That's it. That's good enough. Houses, you lose houses, material things, you can, build it again, you can get it again. So that kind of attitude is necessary. Your mind should be prepared that anything can come. And the next verse is talking about the faults of not relying on a spiritual master. Those who have qualms, doubts that it would be bad for themselves if they relied on one who has purity, love and intelligence, as well as helpful and appropriate speech, cause their own interest to be destroyed. I mean, there are people like that. And that's why it is said that people don't like to live with bodhisattvas. Because bodhisattvas, they always tell, oh, come, do this, do that for others, make the work. Right? So therefore people don't want to listen to those things. They just want to have fun. Right? I mean, I know many of my cousins who come and stay with me. Even if I try to explain Dharma a little bit to them, they don't pay much attention. Hindi में बोलते हैं ना, घर का मुर्गी दाल बराबर. There's a Hindi saying that the hand you have is equal to lentils. They don't pay much respect. And then they not because they don't like me or anything like that, but they don't want to listen, don't do this, they just want to be free, Whereas in the true sense of the term, they don't know how to enjoy freedom. So that's why he's saying, if you do this, this will cause your own interest to be destroyed. You should know in brief the qualifications of spiritual guides if you are taught by those knowing contentment and having compassion and ethics. So what are the qualities, what should be the qualities of a spiritual teacher? So he's saying that listen to this, in short, listen to this description of qualification of a teacher. A spiritual teacher should have, there are many ways of explaining it, but here it says good spiritual teacher should have 4 qualifications. Number 1, he should have contentment. If you have contentment, there is less likelihood of taking advantage of students. And contentment means they are not really concerned about what kind of offerings you may or not make. Second is having great presence of compassion. Third is possessing morality. And fourth is possessing wisdom that will help dispel the sufferings of or afflictive emotions of sentient beings. So you should identify such a teacher and pay homage or respect to that person. If you rely on such a teacher and undertake your practices, sincerely, then you will be able to actualize supreme fruit. Supreme fruit. You will attain the supreme achievement, meaning enlightenment, Buddhahood, by following this excellent system. Therefore, you should also adopt a very special way of life. Special way of life means speak the truth. To all sentient beings, speak the truth, speak gently to sentient beings. And be of pleasant nature. Compelling, be polite, what? Be polite must be. Be polite. Do not wish to defame. Do not wish to defame means don't look down upon other people. Sometimes teachers who are not improper, when they see the limitation of the student, they might look down. You're stupid, you don't understand even this one. They may say things like this, right? But not only in the case of teacher-student relationship, in general also. Even if people commit mistake, the way to correct it is not by belittling them. For example, if you ask somebody to write 1 page of English or something, and then when you check it, if you see so many mistakes, you can correct that person by saying in two ways. One, stupid, see, so many mistakes. When are you going to improve? That's one way. If you say like that, this will completely discourage the person. Another way is, oh, you really made a great attempt. Well done. You have now few minor mistakes to correct. So that will encourage that person to. But this is like taught even in terms of good human relationship. Then there are other qualifications. Be well disciplined, content, magnificent. Magnificent means if you observe your morality properly, you will look magnificent. You don't have to hide anything. Right? Sijididemba, magnificent. Or say, Sutim Yeju Timatiwe Chu Jigu Sadung Silven Daviwe Sutim Yeju Timatiwe Chu Jigu Sadung Silven Daviwe. So basically, this is a quotation from Tsongkhapa where he says, morality is water that washes the defilements of practitioners. Meaning that it is like moonlight that dispels the scorching heat of desire, attachment. Then the final word that I wanted to say is, even without using power, people will naturally bow down to you. Like His Holiness is not carrying around a gun and asking everybody to come to see him, right? But almost every day he's seeing several hundreds of people. Many of these people are completely like, humble and crying before him, become timid, So this is the power of practice of morality. Yes, the third line is without menacing other people through show of power, physical power, people will bow down to you. Right? So that way you become magnificent. Be well disciplined. A peaceful mind. Not excitable means not getting too excited. Not procrastinating. Not deceitful, but amiable. So that is a little bit longer explanation of the way you lead your life. And then the brief explanation is, be gentle like a full moon. Be lustrous like the sun in autumn. Be deep like the ocean. Be firm like Mount Meru. See? So be like full moon means you're complete. And then like autumn sun means it's like clear and magnificent. And then be like ocean means that you have your own stand, your own knowledge, so that you cannot be easily pulled into different directions by different people. If you don't have that personal integrity, knowledge, understanding, then you might follow everybody. There's Tibetan saying that if you don't have this personal sense of integrity, sanity, then when you see people crying, you feel like crying. When you see people laughing, you feel like laughing. It should not be like that. Right? When people are suffering, then you say, I develop empathy. You also see they are suffering. In a way good, in a way not so useful. If you also sit there, cry, weep and suffer, how are you going to help that person? You should be a little bit different from that person who is suffering. And that's what we see. For example, if suddenly this building catches fire, there will be only few people left who will maintain their senses and find out what we should be doing. Everybody will be just scared. Oh my God, oh my God, oh. But people who really have this sense of, contentment or sense of presence, they will immediately say, okay, go and put out the switch. And then also find out what are the sources of fire. They will not have much fear. In the case of many of us, we get so terrified we don't know what to do, right? So it should be like ocean. And like Mount Meru, that means very stable, so that, for example, if you have developed for a long time appreciated loving kindness, compassion, patience and so forth, then you should always practice that in whatever situation, circumstances. You might encounter people who will say, oh, in today's world, compassion has no place. Let us tell some lie, let us exploit, let us engage in corruption. You will become rich overnight. When such situations come, you might change and follow them, you see. So that should not be there. It should remain like a mountain, Mount Meru. His Holiness the Dalai Lama always, right from the beginning until now, when he was young, now he's 90 years old, always taking the same stand, compassion, non-violence. He's not changing his basic kind of stance, right? Because he has conviction about the usefulness of his knowledge, his practices. And then the very summary, finally the very summary. The very summary is, freed from all defects and adorned with all good qualities, become a sustenance for all sentient beings and become omniscient. So your ultimate goal of studying this text and all this teaching is finally, so that finally you become a person who is liberated from all kinds of sufferings and faults, and who is endowed with all positive qualities, and who really becomes the source of happiness, sustenance for all suffering sentient beings, and thus become an omniscient person. You may not be able to become an omniscient person right now, but the more you reduce the negative emotions, the more you cultivate positive emotions, the more you will have capacity to help others and also get personal happiness. So the solution is primarily with you, not with the others. That's what he is saying. These doctrines were, now this is what I said earlier, 98. These doctrines were not just taught only for the kings, right? Somebody asked the question, is this only for the king? What is relevance to us? So he's saying, these doctrines are not just taught only for kings, monarchs, but were taught with a wish to help other sentient beings as benefits them. So with a wish to benefit everybody, I wrote this, directly to the king, but indirectly to benefit everybody. He's saying that there may be here and there a few points which is maybe more relevant to the king, but the rest are relevant to the monastics and others. So therefore, undertake these practices to achieve higher rebirth and definite goodness, which means nirvana and enlightenment. And finally, he says, "O king, it would be right for you each day to think about this advice so that you and others may achieve complete and perfect enlightenment." So this is the parting advice to the king. And similarly to us, after having listened to this text, now if you, after this session, you threw the text into the rubbish, then go, on normal ways. It's up to you, but you will not derive the benefits from this teaching. Just like food for the body, you have to eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, every day. So similarly, these teachings you should practice every day. That is what it's saying. O king, it would be right for you each day to think about this advice. Because as far as negative emotions are concerned, they are fully alert, active and present in you. So as a counter to these negative emotions, if you also don't cultivate these positive emotions, you will not be able to fight with these negative emotions. They will overtake you. So therefore, one of the Bodhisattva vow is that however strong the negative emotions are, I will never ever submit to the dictates of the negative emotions. And sometimes they personify the negative emotions by saying that even if the negative emotions are so strong, powerful, they throw you down, their whole weight is on you, just like the boxers and others, So you are completely under their weight. So the only thing you can do is scratch. Nothing much you can do that scratch. Never ever submit to the dictates of this negative emotion. That kind of commitment must be there. Right? As I said earlier, you should say that gone are the days when you cheated me, when you bullied me, you negative emotions. Gone are the days. Gone are the days because those days I had no idea. I never contemplated about the destructiveness of these negative emotions. So in fact I thought many of these negative emotions are necessary, so I welcomed them, gave them a cup of coffee, tea, even invited them for lunch and dinner. So now see the product, I'm suffering too much. So now I know who you are. You cheater, you deceiver, you liar. Get lost. So the purpose of such practice is to forever say goodbye to the negative emotions and invite the positive emotions. This reminds me one verse from Shantideva who says that even if you have a physical illness and even you consult a very good physician, a doctor, and he also gives you a very good medicine, but if you don't take the medicine, don't listen to the doctor's advice, how can you heal yourself? You normally don't go to doctor. Ask for medicine. Sometimes you have some illness, you go to doctor, take some medicine, but you will not take it. Doctor ने दवाई दिया, मुझे खाने का मन नहीं करता, नहीं खाऊंगा. Which means that you are not very sick. When you are very sick, then you are compelled to take the medicine, listen to the doctor. So before, the best thing in our life is you lead such a healthy life in terms of your own common sense, in terms of what we listen to the teaching. You should lead such a healthy life with the right food, right amount of drinking water, so and so forth, so that you don't get sick. That's your number one job. If you get sick, you're already in trouble. Because it's not sure in which hospital, what kind of doctor's hand you are going to. There are many of these, unfortunately. Medicine is a big industry in today's world, big business. big business, then you are in trouble. Especially, you can't expect many of these doctors are compassionate doctors. Not necessarily. There are compassionate people, but so your first duty is not to get sick, physically, mentally. If you get sick, physically, mentally, you're already in trouble. Right? Last verse. For the sake of enlightenment, aspirants should always apply themselves to ethics, supreme respect for teachers, patience, non-jealousy, non-miserliness or miserliness? Miserliness, endowment with the wealth of altruism, without hope for reward, helping the destitute, remaining with supreme people, living the non-supreme, and thoroughly maintaining the doctrine. This completes the 5th chapter of the precious Garland of Advice for a King by the Great Master, the Superior Nagarjuna. So this last line is saying that those people who really seek the Dharma, these are few things that those who seek the teaching Dharma should always do. Forward to achieve that unsurpassing supreme enlightenment. Right? Why? Because if you achieve that omniscient mind, then you will really be able to help others. Before that also you can help a little bit here and there, but you will not be able to completely eradicate the problem of people. Now if that is your goal, to become Buddha, what are the practice, what are the things that you should do? The first thing is that you should observe morality, which is primarily the abandonment of the 3 physical non-virtues and 3 physical non-virtues and 4 verbal non-virtues. You can't really give an order to stop the mental non-virtues, you can only advise, right? And then the root of your success in your practice is your spiritual teacher, Lama, the Supreme Lama. Lama, Lama, you should understand this word Lama. Lama means somebody who is unsurpassing, who is superior. Many people in confusion call all monks Lama. No, all monks are not Lama. Even me, I am not Lama. Lama means according to the Tibetan society, Lama means those who are supposed to be the reincarnates. I mean that's also confusing, but that's one thing. Anyway, those who are reincarnated beings, and then those people who, through their learning and knowledge, have many students, and students come to seek their advice, and he's really very useful for them. Then gradually, people give the title Lama. Okay. So it's really difficult to have somebody who really fulfills the characteristics of Lama. Genuine Lama should be somebody who cares more for others than oneself, who cares more for next life than for this life. Now you can see how difficult it is. Not easy, right? So anyway, the good Lama is really the source of all your practice, therefore you should respect. And then when you engage into the practice, you should have patience. You may have to encounter a little bit inconvenience here and there. You may have to adopt a way of life which is slightly different from the masses, right? I mean, in a way, to achieve, moving towards path of liberation and nirvana is really almost like, going away from the ordinary way of life. Turning the mind, from ordinary way of life. So because of that you might face some inconvenience, especially among younger generations, if you talk too much about Dharma, and things like that. Some people, they might say, oh, are you going to become a monk? Oh, are you going to become a nun? अब तो हमारे साथ नहीं चलेंगे क्यों? अब तो गुरु बनने जा रहे हैं ना, ऐसे बोलते हैं. They say things like that, sarcastically. Not knowing that this person has really chosen a big decision and wonderful path. So that's why I appreciate my Ladakhi friends, young friends. They're very active. They're following Dharma and others. They have been doing. I know them for so many years. Very active, very committed, intelligent, very, diligent. It's really amazing because it is this Dharma, this precious Dharma must be maintained by the younger generation for the benefit of all sentient beings. And for the Ladakhis and Tibetans, this is our main culture. This is our main culture, right? Apart from this, you have Ladakhi songs and dances. Tibetans have also the Tibetan songs and dances. Ladakhis also eat samba, right? You eat samba? Tibetans also eat samba. We say this is our culture. But this culture is not the real culture. The real culture must be a culture which will help you when you are in trouble, when you are suffering. For example, if one of your family member dies, then will you go there and sing and dance? So they're singing and dancing. I'm not saying they're useless, but that's not helpful when you encounter a problem. And when you're sick and dying, you can't say, oh, eat samba, eat pap, right? So the real culture, in Tibet it's called Rishun. Rigme is something related to the mind, knowledge. So if that is there within your mind, you can face all kinds of problems and difficulties. So therefore, I appreciate your continuous interest and diligence. Because for young people, to come here in this cold weather for so many days, unless you have genuine interest, people will not come. I heard there's one Tibetan, right? Where is her? She is here. Oh, congratulations. She even had the difficulty of coming here because she's so young. Then I heard that she is not even 18, right? So they said, oh, maybe difficult because you are not 18. Then she said, according to the Tibetan calculation, I'm 18, right? Something like that. So then they let her to come, which is wonderful. Okay, then likewise, not having jealousy to other people's possessions and belongings, and then not expecting anything. You do your job and leave the result to the karma or God, whatever. When it comes to helping others, you genuinely help them without expecting anything in return. It's understandable, it's human tendency. When you help somebody, give something to somebody, we also expect one day she might do something for me. It's human nature, but as much as possible, don't expect anything. For example, you feed yourself all the time, giving breakfast to yourself, lunch to yourself, dinner to yourself. Do you expect something in return? What do you expect? When you give something to others, you expect thank you. But when you feed yourself, give breakfast to yourself, then you expect thank you. Do you do that? Breakfast, thank you. Lunch, thank you. Dinner, thank you. So, just as you don't expect anything by doing those good things to yourself, similarly, others also. It's your job, it's your responsibility. It's one of your service. It gives you fulfillment, it gives you long life, it gives you health, it gives you happiness. What else you want? What else you want? So therefore there is one great Tibetan teacher, he says, I have given so many teachings to people, but I never ever expected even a thank you. The reason he said is because there's nobody who is not suffering. There's nobody who has no problem. So what are you to expect from them? Right? So in this way it should become almost like a wealth for others. And then help those people who are deprived of food, clothing, and so forth. Then also take care of everybody, whether it's a great teacher or even somebody who is not a Lama, not a great teacher, everybody as much as possible take care of them. So in short, he says, in short, you should uphold all the sublime teachings taught by the Buddha. So this completes the text. Rejoice. This is time to sing a song or something like that. In the Buddhist practice, there is a practice called 7-branch practice, 7-limb practice. So in that practice, one practice is called rejoicing. That means whenever you manage to do something good, even for 1 minute, even for 1 hour, even for 1 day, whatever, then it is time to rejoice. Yes, I did. I am born as a human being and I really did something that's meaningful, so rejoice. So that is the end of the text. Then I want to say a few words. That is, we need to recognize the fact that it is not easy to obtain this precious human life. In Christianity also, this human life is called crown of creation. In Buddhism we call it precious human life. This is called precious human life because you have this amazing human intelligence to achieve the greatest purpose of bringing peace, harmony and happiness all over the world. You have that capacity. So recognize this capacity and play your part in contributing to the well-being of the society. So having found this precious human life is much better than having stumbled upon a heap of precious gems, gold, silver, things like that. Finding such a precious human life is perhaps only this time. Don't take it for granted that you will again born as a human being. If you want to be born again as a human being, then you need to contribute all the causes that we already studied. Having found this precious human life, if there is a guarantee that you are going to live a long, long life, then it's okay. Very difficult to find, very easy to perish. Just like the flashing of light in the sky, gone. Somebody was alive in the morning, afternoon gone. Very young toddlers, right at the birth, they die. Right? So there is no seniority in age that can come to anybody, especially when we are not careful, eat the wrong food, go to wrong place. You need to be careful, protect this precious human life. Right? So that means understanding this, you should give up many of these meaningless worldly activities. It's not saying don't work and otherwise you will die, but you also do so many, waste your time for so many useless things. Jigdin Chavakvi means all worldly activities, like really, throwing the husk in the wind. If you just throw the husk in the wind, how many times you use nothing, you are not going to get anything. So, many of these worldly activities are really like throwing the husk in the wind. If you throw the grain in the wind, then it will help separate the husk and you get the right grain, something like that. But if you just, throw the husk in the wind, you are not going to get anything, something like that. If you develop this wish to practice day and night, which may be difficult, but as much as possible, spend a good chunk of the time in the day and also in the night. Make your mind totally habituated with the spiritual practice, and that is possible by doing it repeatedly. Develop a good understanding about what is compassion, what is the benefit. Develop a good understanding about bodhicitta, what is the meaning of bodhicitta, why this is relevant for me, why this is relevant for others. Use your common sense. Then if it is irrelevant, not useful, of course you have every right to discard it. Right? That means your practice should be like a running stream, continuous. The running streams, they never say it's now night, I'll stop running. Day and night they run. So similarly, it's important. And the usefulness and benefit of this teaching, there's no question about it. I myself personally know many people who have benefited immensely from such practice. Many people came out from depression, many people came out from loneliness, many people are able to tolerate the death of their parents, relatives, So that's the way. Okay. So therefore, it is important to do Dharma practice. In order to do Dharma practice, you need to know how to do it. So this text that I am distributing is the brief summary of the whole path. Everybody got one? The Buddha said, do not commit any negative deeds. He summarizes his whole teaching by one verse, where he says, do not commit any negative deed. Do perfectly well the positive practices. Completely transform and train your mind. This is my teaching in 4 lines. So do not do anything that is negative. Means indirectly, directly, don't do anything that is negative. Do perfectly well all those that is virtuous. And then the 3rd line, he says, completely train your mind, transform your mind. This is my teaching. This verse is so relevant because normally people ask the question, in Buddhism, all you need to do is to help others. Why the monks spending like 16, 20 years in a monastery studying all these texts? Why they are taking so much time? So therefore, the Buddha says, don't do anything negative, do everything that is positive. But that's not easy. To do that, you need to train your mind. That means you need to study. Training your mind should be done in accordance with the natural process of how things are, according to the teaching of the Buddha. So therefore you need to study. Right? So here, This brief summary of the whole path. Later on I am going to make it a small booklet so that I can distribute it everywhere. Because this is for me very precious, because this brief summary of the whole path comes in the end of Tsongkhapa's Lamrim Chemo, great stages of the path. I recall one of my very senior Indian friend. I think many of you may not have heard about his name. He's no more here. He's Ravindra Varma, very eminent Indian. Used to be politician and also academic, who had a very, very interesting life. And when he was young, he was like very straightforward. And he said he could directly challenge Nehru and also talk to Mahatma Gandhi, things like that. And he was one very important, I think, cabinet minister somewhere in party, I don't remember. And then he became very strong Gandhian in the Varda ashram in, I think, Nagpur, right? Nagpur. And he told me he had a teacher who was so strong in his practice of the teaching of the Gandhi, that the teacher used to say that human beings cooking food is devil's way, because when something is ripe, it means it's ready to eat. So now people are cooking it, this is the devil's way. So because of this belief, they used to eat raw potatoes. And he did this for 1 year, eating raw potatoes. And then building house, living under this rooftop is also devil's workshop. We should learn to live in the nature. So just like the Buddhist teachings, he also used to sit under a tree. And then of course, Gandhiji is against casteism, non-attachment. So one important job they have to do is wash everybody's toilet, things like that. A very strong personality. He's written several books. And then later on, he's a very learned and clever person. So he became Buddhist. After he became Buddhist, he practices at least 2 hours every day. And he received some initiations, teachings from His Holiness, his senior teacher, Rinchen. And then one day he came to see His Holiness and requested him to give some special teaching, especially the transference of consciousness, things like that. So as the translator, I had always had this pleasure of translating and being there on those occasions. So His Holiness gave the relevant teaching. Then after that he asked me, there is a brief summary of the whole path in the end of Tsongkhapa's Lamrim Chemo, get it translated and give a copy to him. So this is how I translated this and gave a copy to him, right? So this really tells you how to practice from beginning to the end. So we'll read it quickly, it will not take much time. First, develop a thorough understanding of the way to rely on a spiritual teacher, because that is the root of the path. Find a good teacher. Then an uncontrived desire to extract the essence of this life as a free and fortunate human being will give you the inner impetus to do spiritual practice. Second is, recognize your precious human life. That is what he's saying. And if you wish to develop it, meditate on the various aspects of freedom and good fortune that a human life has. If you are unable to curtail your mental obsession with the things of this life, you will be unable to generate an intense aspiration for the good of your next life. Therefore, try to meditate on impermanence, that the body you have now is short-lived, and that you will wander in miserable states of existence after death. You will develop a genuine sense of fear that will encourage you to cultivate wholehearted faith in the qualities of the 3 refuges, the Buddha, his teaching, and the spiritual community. Then observe the common vows of taking refuge. It is not just enough to take refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. There are certain vows that you need to practice. Then observe the common vows of taking refuge and train in their precepts. Like for example, by having taken refuge to the Buddha, you don't go to other teachers. Having taken refuge to the Dharma, you develop compassion and not harm others. Having taken refuge to the Sangha, you don't associate with the wrong people or wrong teacher. Right? By whatever means you can, cultivate faith and trust in the law of causality, that the law of karma is infallible. Develop some understanding on that. The basis of all virtuous practices. Having made your faith firm, make efforts to embark on the practice of the 10 wholesome deeds and to refrain from the 10 unwholesome deeds that we already studied. Then engage in the path of the 4 powers. That means developing this counterforce against negative emotions, taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, developing regret to the wrong deeds that you've done. So these are the 4 antidotal powers. When you have been successful in thus consolidating the features of the practice of initial scope. So this practice up to this point is called practice of the people with small mental intelligence, small scope. Contemplate the specific and general force. Then now you are going to the second level. Here you need to contemplate the specific and general force of the cyclic existence. Samsara, the 4 shortcomings, of the samsara. Try to turn your mind away from the cycle of existence as much as you can. Then identify the nature of the disturbing emotions. Why you are in the samsara? Because of disturbing emotions and actions, which are the causes giving rise to the cycle of birth and death, and cultivate a genuine aspiration to eliminate them. That means renunciation. How to come out of samsara. Place your faith in the 3 parts of the training: morality, meditation, and concentration and wisdom, that can liberate you from the cycle of existence. Make particular effort in whatever practices of individual liberation you have vowed to observe. When you have consolidated the practices of initial and middle scope, remember that like you, so not enough that you achieve liberation just for yourself, like you, all mother sentient beings have fallen into the ocean of cycle of existence. Train in the awakening mind, bodhicitta, which is rooted in love and compassion, and try to enhance it as much as possible. Without the awakening mind, bodhicitta, practice of the 6 perfections, the 2 stages of tantra and so forth will be like putting up the root without first laying the foundation. When you have gained some experience of bodhicitta, validate it in a formal ceremony. Then you should really generate that bodhicitta in a formal ceremony with a teacher. Make an effort to, you can generally cultivate bodhicitta even without a teacher, but in order to remember the occasion, you should do that. That's what he's saying. Make an effort to practice the precepts and try to reinforce your altruistic aspiration as much as you can. Listen to explanations of the extensive deeds of bodhisattvas. And when you have understood what they entail, cultivate an intense aspiration to train in them. Having cultivated such an intention, receive the vow, bodhisattva vow. So first you cultivate the aspiration of bodhicitta, which is saying that I will become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient. That's just a promise. So next you take the vow, I will myself help them. So this is called engaging bodhicitta, the bodhisattva deeds. Train in the 4 ways of gathering, 4 ways of collecting disciples, as I mentioned earlier. Giving. What are the 4 ways of attracting disciples? Number 1, giving. Number 2, teaching. Number 3, asking them to lead good way of life. Number 4, you yourself should lead such a good way of life. Train in the 4 ways of gathering others in order to ripen their minds. And the 6 perfections. What are the 6 perfections? Giving, morality, patience, effort, concentration, wisdom. For ripening your own mind, make special effort to avoid major infractions of the vow at the cost of your life. try not to spoil your practice with faulty actions, such as the small and middling downfalls. And if you somehow become contaminated by transgressing them, then try to correct it, try to set things right. Then, since you should train particularly in the last two perfections, concentration and wisdom, make yourself well versed in the ways of sustaining concentration and actualize meditative stabilization. Try as hard as you can to cultivate a genuine view of this is wisdom, genuine view of the two selflessnesses, the selflessness of persons and the selflessness of phenomena, free from the two extremes of permanence and nihilism. Now you all know this. Having found that view, learn how to sustain and maintain it correctly. Such concentration and wisdom are known as calm abiding mind and the special insight. These are nowadays known as shamadhi and vipassana. So shamadhi is calm abiding mind, vipassana is special insight. Shamadhi is one-pointed meditation and vipassana is analytical meditation. They are not different from the last two perfections. Therefore, once you have received the bodhisattva vow, these are part of the practices of Buddhist precepts. The more you meditate on the lower stages of these practices, the more you will aspire to attain the higher stages. Meaning that if your practice is really hitting the target, it's going in the right direction, then the more you meditate on the lower stages of this practice, the more you will have the wish to attain the higher stages. And if contrarily, if the more you listen to explanations of higher paths, your aspiration to practice the lower paths becomes stronger, your practice is hitting its target. Right? If you attempt to put all your energy solely into developing mental stability or into mere understanding of the view without following any of the preceding practices, it will be very difficult for you to reach your target. So your practice should be systematic. Therefore, it is important to acquire a thorough understanding of the complete body of the path. That's called Namriyam. We have the stages of the path, stages of meditation. There's another book by Kamalashila, Stages of Meditation, which I had the fortune of translating. It's already a book, and that translation was done by me and two of my friends. So stages of meditation, stages of path, meaning that in order to undertake spiritual practice, it has to be done stage by stage. There is no push-button enlightenment. There is no shortcut. Shortcut nahi isme. That's what he's saying. Also, when you meditate on these stages of the path, remove conceptual thoughts and maintain a balanced mind. For example, if you find your respect for the spiritual teacher who guides you on the path declining, you risk severing the root of all excellent qualities. Therefore, under such a situation, make an effort to rely on the teacher correctly. Likewise, if your enthusiasm for a practice declines, meditate on the meaning of freedom and good fortune. See? If you find your obsessive involvement with the things of this life increasing, meditate principally on impermanence and the faults of the miserable states of existence. If you feel that you are violating prohibitions of practice you have vowed to observe, regard as a sign of your lack of conviction in the law of causality. Meditate chiefly on the principle of cause and effect. If you find your disdain for the whole cycle of existence weakening and your aspiration for liberation is no more than words, think over the force of cycle of birth and death. If you see that your mind is no longer really willing to work for the sake of sentient beings, the root of the great vehicle has been severed. Therefore, repeatedly familiarize yourself with the causes of the awakening mind. Once you have received the Bodhisattva vow and you are engaged in the Bodhisattva's way of life, if you are still bound by the apprehension of science of intrinsic existence, use wisdom to destroy all the objects on which the mind apprehending science focuses. Train your mind in emptiness, which is like space. See? Emptiness, which is like space and an illusion. If you find that the mind does not remain focused on the virtuous object, but falls prey to distractions, as previous lamas have taught, Consolidate your practice with the stability of single-pointed concentration. Once you have an understanding of the whole path, what has not been explained can be understood implicitly. In short, it is important to make your mind familiarize with the whole range of virtuous practices and not to let it become partial to only one aspect. Because the very purpose of this spiritual practice is to counter there's countless negative emotions within us. So just one aspect of practice will not solve it, right? Then next, this is the regular practices that we do in the sutra. Then if you want to enter into the tantra, the process of training in the Vajrayana in particular, having trained the mind in the paths common on both sutra and tantra, you should certainly enter the path of secret mantra, which is extremely rare compared to other teachings, and is a swift means to complete the two collections. Collections means merit and wisdom. If you do so, then as is taught in the Lamb of the Path by Atisha, first please the spiritual teacher by treating him on or her with respect and practicing what you are taught. In the practice of Tantra, the practice of cultivating relationship with the spiritual teacher is even more profound than was taught earlier in the Sutra section. Moreover, it is only appropriate to cultivate such a relationship with someone who possesses at least the minimum qualifications. So from that teacher, first you should receive initiation, which is the factor that ripens the mind, as is taught in authentic tantric discourses. At that time, pay attention to the requisite pledges and vows you receive and protect them. Although you can renew your vows even if you suffer a root infraction, such a downfall will greatly hamper the growth of the qualities of the path within you. Therefore, make intense efforts not to spoil your practice with major infractions. If you break your leg, you can reset them, but it will not be as good as when it was not broken. But if your practice does somehow become spoiled, implement the ways of setting things right. These are fundamental to meditation on this path. Without them, your practice will be like a dilapidated house whose walls have collapsed. The root tantra of Manjushri says, achievement of mantra by the morally corrupt is not taught by the sage. Thus it is taught that those who do not maintain their vows will not gain any attainments, whether supreme means enlightenment, middling means like clairvoyance and so forth, or low. The highest yoga tantra mentions that even if they practice, those who do not guard their pledges, who have received inadequate initiation, and who do not understand emptiness, will achieve nothing. Therefore, even if you claim to be meditating the tantric path without observing the pledges and vows, you will be wandering far away from it. Regarding the process of meditation on the tantric path, those observing their pledges and vows should first meditate on the generation stage. So there are two stages, generation stage and accomplishment stage. Generation stage, which involves visualizing the deity's entire mandala as taught in authentic tantric teachings. This is because the specific object to be eliminated on the tantric path is the ordinary conceptual thought that casually apprehends the mental and physical aggregates, elements and sense powers. This can be eliminated only by meditating on the generation stage, which transforms the appearances of the place, the meditator's body and enjoyments. Those practitioners who have purified their ordinary apprehension in this way be blessed by Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas and will quickly complete an infinite collection of merits. Such a person will then be a suitable vessel to practice the next stage, which is called completion stage. Therefore, you should meditate on the completion stage as taught in authentic tantric teachings. Discarding the first stage, generation stage, and training merely in a few selected aspects of the path which belongs to its later stage is not the intention of the tantric teachings and their learned commentators. Therefore, try to seize the essence of the two stages that will constitute the complete body of the path of the highest yoga tantra. These words are merely intended to indicate the direction by which to enter into tantra, A detailed understanding should be gained from the exposition of the stages of the path of Tantra. This is just like the numbering in the stages of the path. The sutra, similarly in the Tantra also, Tsongkhapa has written this big book, exposition of the stages of the path of Tantra. If you practice in this way, you will be training in the complete body of the path that includes the entire essences of the sutras and tantras and gives meaning to your having human life. And you will be able to contribute to the flourishing of the precious teachings of the Buddha within yourself and others. This paraphrased translation of the verses with which Geshe Lhakdor concludes his Ramin Chemo, the great exposition of the stages of the path, was prepared by me, Geshe Lhakdor, the famous Geshe Lhakdor, at the kind instruction of His Holiness Dalai Lama, when he gives some special teachings to the late Shri Ravindra Verma, a great Gandhian and Indian Buddhist practitioner. And of course, I did not acknowledge one person here. I think Jeremy Russell helped me edit the English also. He's right now still working in His Holiness office. So, thank you. We still have some time for questions, if you have any questions. Yes?
I have a reflection and one question.
Yeah.
This greeting to the king, what we were learning this week, this greeting to the king would be in part taken as a greeting to us, I think. This is a reflection. To us as citizens in democratic countries, I think we should consider us as the king and say as rulers, or we should say to rulers, politicians, etc., what we expect of them when we elect them. But for those suggestions or questions, we should be first teach, or we should know about reality. That's why I think this greeting is really good for us as citizens, not just as kings.
Yes.
But then the question is, you said that teachings should be given to who asks for them. And now thinking in the kings or in the powerful people, in the case of politicians or judges, economic and cultural leaders, they have influence, they make decisions in society often in a very destructive way, causing huge suffering, but they don't ask for teachings or for advice often. And my question is how to approach them, or what is your opinion, your experience?
There's a lot of problems here. Number one, that's why when I give such teachings, in some senses I feel a little bit uncomfortable. It's like preaching the converts. Meaning those of you who are here, you're already good people. Right? Now can I, as you are saying, can I teach this to the president, prime ministers of different countries? Who am I to say, come and I'll teach you? Number one, I don't even have access. Number two, they think they are so big, and they may be big, so I can't approach them. Then also different rulers, they may be from different religious traditions. How can you say they listen to the Buddhist teaching? But your point is very valid, because this, I'm glad that you asked this question, because most of this text that the Nagarjuna has written, especially to the kings, they contain both the secular ethics and the Dharma leading to nirvana and enlightenment. So here in this also, he is primarily addressing the king, how to look after the people, So without saying this is a Buddhist teaching, you can take out all the good points without saying this is a Buddhist teaching. And you can, as a subject, you can like request him, a good king should have all these qualities. Can you please consider applying some of them? And in addition to that, you can include some other possible suggestions also. So that you can do. Right? So Nagarjuna has written another text which is really on secular ethics, which is called Nourishing Individuals. Philosophic nourishing individuals with stories, beautiful stories. So because by the suggestion of His Holiness, we started teaching the secular ethics in many, many places. So I was looking for the sources in the Buddhist tradition itself. There are so many texts in the Buddhist sources. So I immediately published this book by Nagarjuna, Philosophic, which I later found that English translation has also been done by the Lama a long time back. It's lying there. So I published the Tibetan version with a more detailed story. So there are many like that. So you can, yeah. Yes, yeah. Pass it.
Geshe, what is the real meaning behind this initiations and transformations that we call Wang and Lung? So, what is the difference between them, and why do we need to get this initiations and transformations? Because it's really famous in our rituals, and everyone is chasing towards the
very famous. Nobody knows anything. Yeah. So initiation. I even prefer using the word empowerment rather than initiation. So I'll give you an example. For example, let us say somebody has won the election and tomorrow will be enthroned as the new Prime Minister of a particular country, right? Tomorrow he will be enthroned. So between today and tomorrow, today when he is not Prime Minister, tomorrow he will be enthroned and become a Prime Minister. Do you think there will be a big change in his qualification? Just overnight? No. But because the second day, because he was empowered by people, now you are Prime Minister. He's initiated, empowered, Abhishek, in Hindi we call it Abhishek, empowered, so much recognition, much more powerful. So something like this. So in the tantric practice, because tantric practice is said to be secret, therefore somebody has to give you the power to practice. Yes, I know you are mentally ready, so I give you the power to practice it. So it's basically giving the permission to practice it. That is called empowerment. Okay? Wang means, empowerment. Lung means transmission. Lung means citations. Okay, what the Buddha has taught, the same thing, if you translate, that's called lung. Yeah. Authority of,
Thank you, Krishna. Firstly, I will really miss this from tomorrow, so thank you for this one.
What did you say?
I will really miss these sessions from tomorrow, so thank you so much for
You will not miss the cold climate either.
I have two questions.
Yeah.
The first is the difference between an Arhat and a Buddha. And the second one is that in the 8 precepts to Mahayana, dancing and singing is not encouraged or is said no.
Yes.
But like in the Charyapada Gitis or in ancient Buddhist texts also, there are poems and there are songs.
Yeah.
So I struggle to understand, and you also spoke about rejoicing. So I struggle to understand why dancing and singing is sort of looked at as a bad attribute.
Arhat and Buddha. Buddha is Buddha, also Arhat. Arhat means, literally translated, foe destroyer. Foe is the enemy. So somebody who has completely destroyed the enemy, the negative emotions, is called Arhat. So in which case Buddha definitely is Arhat. But there are those who have completely destroyed the negative emotion, but not removed the subtle obscurations to enlightenment. So they are not Buddha. So as I mentioned earlier, there are people who have achieved Nirvana but not Buddha. So those who have achieved Nirvana, they are arhats but not Buddha.
Do they lack bodhicitta?
Bodhicitta, just to become arhat or achieve Nirvana, it's not necessary to have bodhicitta. What you need is to remove the negative emotions with the seed. Once you are able to remove that, you are an arhat. But in order to become Buddha, then you need bodhicitta. The wish to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Because the other one said, it's good, but I can't do it. There's too many people, you see. So I relax, after achieving the arhathood. That's how they think. Okay? Then in the 8 precepts, discouraging to engage in song and dance basically means normally songs and dances are not just entertainment but also heedlessness. You are careless and then just singing like that, So discouraging that. But on certain occasions, when it is again singing and dancing, if it is really becoming a spiritual practice, it's fine. Right? In fact, there is a story of one great teacher who has written text on emptiness. And after that he gets so excited what he has seen. Then he almost like starts dancing, like that. Yeah.
Thank you. Geshe Lhakdor, thank you so much for sharing all the fruits of your efforts and your teachings and knowledge and culture. It's deeply appreciated.
Thank you.
I have 2 questions. I'll ask the first one first. And,
you are much better.
the question is, sometimes I noticed with the practice, and forgive me if I don't remember exactly, but the practice where we express our desire to achieve enlightenment in this lifetime.
That's too much, yeah.
Yeah, I notice in myself a resistance and a fear of grandiosity, and also a fear of leaving less evolved parts behind somehow. And so I noticed I would be happy to ask for a sense of the path. And I wondered if this would be an appropriate prayer intention prior to meditation, to ask to be clear about the path rather than to ask for enlightenment.
Exactly.
I think I need a few thousand.
Exactly. As we already read, this is for clarity of the path.
Yes.
And therefore there is a teaching which says, that means your realization may be like a God or celestial being, but your way of life should be like ordinary people, right? Because we are living with ordinary people, and in fact we have the ordinary mind, ordinary afflictive emotions, and so therefore, and then to be realistic, the path to enlightenment is gradual. Right? So you need to realize this. And gradually, the path, the ultimate object, enlightenment, may not even be visible, but you need to have this trust that yes, I'm slowly, very slowly, but moving. Slowly but surely, I'm moving. Like even if you take just 1, 2, 3 steps down, you're moving closer to the temple, maybe even to Delhi, you see. So you're moving. So that you need to realize. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. And the second one is maybe tangential, but do you believe, and what does Buddhism say about the existence of evil as a force in the cosmos?
Yeah.
External.
No, even in human beings, there are good people, bad people. And so long as we have negative emotions, then the evil people will always be there. Because it's primarily the real evil is the negative emotions, not so much the person. So as I mentioned earlier, it's important to make a clear distinction between the wrongdoing and the wrongdoer. The wrongdoing should be recognized as a wrongdoing and help people not to repeat that. At the same time, give an opportunity for the wrongdoer to become a good member of the society. I remember a teaching which says that in this case, dogs are more clever than human beings. The example that he has given is, for example, if you throw a stone to a dog, the dog will first run after the stone, then probably run towards you. Because it's the stone that hit him directly. So he'll go first directly to it, then to us. Now in the case of human beings, we neither go directly to the one that hit you, nor to the source, the negative emotion, but we catch somebody in between, the person. Right? So that is wrong. So the real source of problem is not a person, but the negative emotions within that person. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, next question, yeah.
Namaste. Thank you so much for your teachings. It helped me a lot. I had come up with a lot of questions and it answered my questions. And I am having this question particularly because I am a yoga practitioner. In yoga we have learnt similarly the things we learn here. For example, in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Patanjali mentioned about
Ashtangic mark.
Eight limbs.
Yeah, Ashtangic mark. Yeah.
So whatever over there it is, I have learned about non-violence and non-stealing, non-lying, not to draw to the sensory pleasure, all those nirvana, liberation, enlightenment. I see here it is more elaborated and it is that. I'm not talking about that for now. So in yoga they have 4 main paths. So there are many paths, but they have 4 paths which meant to lead to the enlightenment, which meant to purify one and purify all the illusion, all the negative things, and reach to the illusion. Enlightenment. All of them, 4 of them are Raj Yoga, which is basically talks about meditations and work on mind, and Karma Yoga, which talks about selflessness, services to others, and like to serve others at the same time. He talks. It talks about. I will come to that point later. Jnana Yoga, which talks about inquiry, self-inquiry. Investigating yourself, and that's how you can liberate. And Bhakti Yoga, which with the devotions and by surrendering, there are a lot of chanting and all those given. And these also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. So in Bhagavad Gita he teaches 3 of them out of 4 here, which is Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and Karma Yoga, where Krishna teaches to King Arjuna. So about when it comes to Jnana Yoga, he stresses the point about self-inquiry and investigate yourself, and that's how you can liberate. And when it comes to Karma Yoga, also he mentions about selflessness, services, and without expectations and all stuff like that. and also he talks about cause and effect, the karma, and in Bhakti Yoga he also mentions similar thing. And I see these. I mean, he also mentions somewhere.
So what is your question?
Okay, I will come to that question. So
just ask the question.
So I just wonder. So there are a lot of teachings are like similar.
Yeah.
I see elaborated.
These are all human experiences. Yes.
I just wonder what is the link between that and this?
And as I mentioned earlier, Buddha was in India.
Yeah.
He lived in India. He had contact with all those ascetics and sadhus at that time. So there are a lot of exchanges, right? So there are so many similarities, nothing surprising.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The root of negative emotions is in ignorance, yes?
Yes.
What is the root of the positive
Root of positive emotion is wisdom, understanding, emptiness.
How is the connection between?
Connection is because if you understand the way things are, then it is less likely that you will commit negative deeds.
But why positive? Not negative, but why positive?
Yeah.
You do nothing also.
Yeah, you less likely to commit negative deeds and more likely to commit positive deeds.
Not negative is clear, because you understand ignorance.
Yeah.
But why positive?
Why positive? Because you are able to see clearly that it is far better to do good things than do bad things. You are able to see clearly. For example, don't laugh, listen to this. I'll give you a very good example. You will never forget this one. Much of our wrongdoings are based on lack of the truth, the reality. So, with wisdom, understanding emptiness, or any wisdom based on which if you see the reality properly, you will do more positive things than negative things. For example, on this table, imagine there are two elderly people lying, a very elderly woman, very elderly man, over 90 years old. Both are very sick and they have wounds over the body and blood and pus is oozing out. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but to give you a vivid picture. So if there are two such people lying on the table in front of me and which you are all able to see, that is the truth that you are able to see. Now when you see this truth, it is more likely that people will come to help them than come here and give a kick to them. When they see that reality, then people, nobody will say, you and some other young gentleman, by seeing this very elderly sick lady, I don't think you will say, I want to marry this lady. Because now you see the reality. It's more likely that you develop compassion and love to the lady. Give water, take her to the hospital. Right? So this is for me very convincing. Right? That's the example, yeah.
I got a question. There's kind of a classic conception of meditation as just thinking nothing. But I hear a lot lately that that's not meditation. And so I'm wondering about the specific practice of just thinking nothing. You're not focusing on your breath, just trying to focus on nothing. Is that a good practice or is that not?
No, that's very bad practice.
Okay.
Okay. Because thinking nothing is not possible. Because when you say, I'm not going to think anything you are thinking. Yeah, actually this is a very interesting question, because actually this debate has been held in the famous Samye monastery in Tibet. There's a great debate was held by a great Buddhist teacher called Kamalashila versus Hasham, obviously a Chinese teacher. I'm sorry, it happened like that. So they were debating. Then this Hasham, he said, stop any thought. Thought itself is bad, right? And he said, good thought, bad thought, both are bad. And he gave kind of convincing example by saying, it doesn't make any difference that you are beaten by a black dog or a white dog. Both will create you pain. It doesn't matter whether the sun is covered by a white cloud or black cloud. It will cover the sun. So any thought is not good. Stop them. That is what he said. So this is refuted by Kamalashila by saying that when, as I mentioned, when you think that I'm not going to think, you are thinking. Right? And the solution for negative emotions comes by contemplating and finding the remedies, not just sitting and doing nothing. At the most, just sitting, thinking nothing may give you some kind of peace at that current moment, but not to any long-term solution. Okay. Are we done?
Geshe Lhakdor,
Yeah.
Can we please take 5 minutes to felicitate you, Geshe Lhakdor? Can we please take we will just take 5 minutes, Geshe Lhakdor. We would like to felicitate you and say something like...
You're all coming down to the library, no?
Oh, okay, Geshe Lhakdor, but we wanted to felicitate.
Okay.
We can do it over there also.
Yeah, do it here also, no problem. If you are prepared, you do it.
This is so overwhelming.
Thank you.
Tashi Dilek, everyone, respected Geshe Lhakdor, Anisamola, and everyone, my group, and most importantly the other participants who have come from all over the world. Geshe Lhakdor, since you taught about emptiness, for the very first day when we reached here, our first negative affliction which we got to know about was the attachment towards our gadgets and mobile. And I have not prepared any speech or something because we were always relied on our chat GPT and AI. So whatever I speak, I speak from my mind, which I have been practicing, and for past 5 days I was meditating, and maybe I have exercised my brain enough, mind enough. So, but pardon me if I will speak wrong because my English is not that fluent, especially for the foreigners. You might not understand fully. I'm so sorry for that. Geshe Lhakdor, won't take much time, but thank you so much, Geshe Lhakdor, for guiding us throughout the journey. I don't know what title, as you said that I'm not a Lama, but for us, genuinely speaking, Geshe Lhakdor, you are our Guru, you are our Lama. It's very overwhelming, I'm so sorry. But not only, he has taught the philosophy, but it has made us realize a lot of things about how to focus on our negative emotions, and I will surely try to focus on that, not 100% Geshe Lhakdor, but of course I'll try my level best. And when I discussed with other members as well, they were also saying the same, that being in a Buddhist family doesn't mean that we are a Buddhist unless and until we don't know what it is actually about. And many of them were actually shocked, and they were telling, oh my God, this was all emptiness about. And now also maybe we could not understand fully, but we were discussing, we were trying to find the questions, and when we walk out of Tushita Meditation Center, we have a lot of homework and a lot to explore more, and this is all because of you, Geshe Lhakdor. It would have not been possible if you wouldn't have spared your precious time for us. And with so much patience, you were, waiting for questions, you were replying, with so much gentle humor, and then best of best examples so that it could fit us, mentally, which we will never forget in our life. And especially the Hindi jokes, Geshe La, it is one of our favorite. We were able to connect more, and that is the reason, on behalf of the Flying Dharma family and on behalf of all the participants, now that I've got the opportunity, I would like to genuinely thank you so much, Geshe La. Thank you so much for sharing your immense and profound wisdom, and for guiding not only the path of Dharma, but day-to-day life, how to manage our stressful emotion and negative afflictions, Geshe La. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And also, I would like to take a time to Ani Somola also. She has been helping us with with great compassion, and Ani Gunvela also. Since the very first day, she has been patient. And before felicitating Geshe La, I would like to apologize, sincere apologies to Tushita Meditation Center and to all the participants if we have caused any kind of nuisance. These Gen Zs are kind of very restless, I know, and on behalf of my team, I say sorry if even in the silent retreat people were curious, they were asking questions. I'm so sorry. We have a small token of gratitude to Geshe La. Could you please give the card? We have prepared a small card for you, Geshe La. Yesterday we gave you one card. You can read it tomorrow, Geshe La, when we are not there. Also, we are very thankful to Tushita Meditation Center and Ani Gunpella. Even from all the staff, we could not meet all the staff, Ani Gunpella, but the decision.
No need, my
Yes, okay. Yeah. But we have one, this Ani Gunpella.
Maybe I can thank Geshe La.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Geshe La.
First let them finish. Accept your gift.
No, that wasn't appropriate. Thank you so much, Geshe La. Thank you so much, Geshe La, for coming every year, making space in your very, very, very busy schedule. Yeah? It's okay. People can. Geshe La also was sick in the beginning. Yeah, I don't know. Geshe La is very good at hiding it. Yes,
but
it was.
It
Thank you so much, Geshe La, coming to call Tushita and through all the storms and always making time in your very busy schedule. And can we please request Geshe La to come back very soon?
5 days again from tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Geshe La.
If this goes with the hand of Geshe La, it will be great. And also Ani Somola has been so compassionate, she has helped us practice everything. Practicing became much more easier, Anila. Thank you so much, and we also made a small card for you, Anila. Thank you, Anila. And lastly to Ani Kunpella, thank you for being so much patient, and we apologize, Anila. And this is for the Tushita family and the kids. Small token of gratitude from our side, Anila. We made this card for you, Anila.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anila. Thank you so much. Thank you, Krishna, again. Thank you, everyone, again. Thank you so much.
People want to offer kata to Geshe La.
So thank you everybody. Have a nice journey wherever you are going. Then we will cross our ways. Then don't pretend that you don't know me. Okay, and say, Geshe-la, how are you? And we can talk and sit over a cup of tea, things like that. Okay, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. It's not necessarily good for you, it's really good for me. It is because of interested students I get an opportunity to run away from my office and to spend time, So it's especially enriching for me. I don't know how much this is of benefit to you. Thank you very much. And be happy. So this is a commitment that I normally give. Wherever you go, whatever you do, never make your mind unhappy. Be happy. If you remain happy, you will always find the solution. If you remain unhappy, remain disturbed, you will not be able to solve any problem. So be happy. Thank you.